Have you heard of his name? Before Joshua commanded armies, before his name echoed through history, he walked in the shadow of a giant. When Pharaoh changed his mind, he unleashed 600 chariots to hunt the Israelites down, to end their journey before it began. Moses shouted, "Do not be afraid, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." When God split the waters, Joshua stood ready, not to lead the way, but to follow the man God had chosen. When Amalek came to strike the weary Israelites, to break the promise, to end the journey before it reached the mountain of God, Moses climbed the heights, the staff of the Almighty in his grasp, and Joshua took the sword into the valley of war. When the enemy struck, Moses prayed, and Joshua fought with everything he had, a warrior's fueled by his leader's faith. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and remain here." And Moses did not go alone. He chose one man, the one who had walked in his shadow through battle and wilderness, the faithful Joshua, to ascend with him into the blazing fire of God's presence. While the camp slept, Joshua kept watch, for his leader was meeting face to face with the living God. For 40 days and 40 nights Moses stood in the storm of heaven, and Joshua waited, close enough to hear the thunder of God's voice, close enough to feel the mountain tremble with the breath of the Almighty. While Moses stood in the fire of God's presence, the people below had turned from the covenant. They gathered their gold, their treasures, and melted them into the shape of a beast, a golden calf. And before this image of their own making, they bowed, they sang. They called it the God who had delivered them. The camp became a furnace of rebellion, a place where truth was traded for lies, and the living God was forgotten in the shadow of an idol. But Joshua did not turn his eyes to the gold, nor his ears to the songs. He walked at his leader's side, through the noise, through the mockery, through the betrayal, not because it was safe, but because it was right. Then, when the shadow of giants fell across the land and fear gripped the hearts of the nation, Joshua's voice thundered above the panic. "Do not fear them. The Lord himself will give us this land." He wasn't merely following orders. Joshua carried the very fire of Moses' vision and the unshakable faith of his leader. 40 years in the desert, 40 years of trust, 40 years of battles, 40 years of shared burdens. And when the time came, God did not choose the loudest, the strongest, or the most ambitious. He chose the one who had been faithful. Before God calls you to lead, he will call you to follow.